wondering if I lost time again. I mean, I woke up after my second was 18 months old. I think a few people understand that. It's like you thought you were awake and then you really weren't.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, look at the sky. It's so blue.
I have a 4-month-old, so I totally get it. I don't know what, like, where I am right now. I don't know what's
like
going on.
what is like,
When you're 18 months old, you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh, I thought I was awake, but I wasn't awake. Now I'm awake.
Right.
And then
I
another
was on
one
a
because
show.
like your brain just goes, oh, I'm awake, and now I've forgotten how horrible this was. So,
well,
Right.
and I can promise you though, Kristina, that at about age 5, they get a lot easier and they're a lot more fun. And
Okay, so 5 years from now.
you've got that to look forward to.
my
So
God.
but in the
Yeah, but
meantime,
take it.
in the meantime, we're live. So Kristina, go ahead and intro the show for us.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Kristina Rienzi. So excited to be here on Spilling Ink with these awesome people. I am a new adult thriller author, certified professional coach, and former president of Sisters in Crime. And here to talk about whatever we want to talk about tonight. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Look at that. She's a pro. You're hired.
Yeah. I threw that to her with no warning and she just picked it up and ran. Damn, that's good. Excellent. Brian Tan, you've got some competition, buddy.
Ooh.
Sure.
He's got a new show too.
I just listened to it today while I was working with the doggos. It's pretty cool. I actually emailed Kendra, his co-host, and said, "Hey, I want to get in on this. Writers being uncensored and saying whatever we want."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I need this.
That right there.
Oh, well, welcome to Spilling Ink, everyone. I don't have to tell you it's a special Spilling Ink Live anymore, we determined, because we do it live every week now, which is awesome. And it's way less work for Katie and I with the editing. So thank you for tuning in or listening, however you're consuming this little bit of media. We're here with a wonderful panel. We are missing one person. So if you saw on there that we were going to have Liz Butcher, unfortunately she was unable to make it tonight. But we do have the lovely HM Gooden and Kristina Rienzi. How are you two today?
good. Thanks.
Doing great.
You
Hanging in there.
You already did your intro, Kristina. It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not allowed to talk anymore. Just let me know. Well, I'll raise my hand.
And then of course we have our two ladies of mayhem over here. Well, it's really hard to coordinate what's going on the screen with my webcam. These two right there, Captain Trainwreck. Why do you have a "the" in front of your name, Katie?
Took you long enough to notice
That's
that.
not cool, man. I am the only "the" here. All right.
It's all caps. D.
Oh, damn, snap. Well, we have J.E. Taylor and the Captain Trainwreck. Oh, it's a killer team. Katie, what do you got on your shirt there? What are you wearing tonight?
Okay, so actually there was a story behind this shirt. So we've been pushing our Spilling Ink merch, right?
Yes.
We got our lovely, let me see if I can center that better, hoodies.
I don't even recognize that logo.
Yeah. I have the one with the cat. The cat is definitely our newest and most fun logo. So I've been trying to order some pieces to see what they look like, as we're pushing them, and I've been trying to order a shirt. Hoodies, no problem. Shirts, apparently I can't do. The first order, I got the wrong color. The second order comes through, and let's see if this will show. I have a pregnancy shirt. I am pregnant with Spilling Ink.
Aw, you're pregnant with a Jason and a Jane. That's so cute. We're twins.
So we're gonna have to retool the shirt logos, I think, a little bit.
Oh goodness. Well, so we have a really exciting show tonight because we have no idea what we're talking about, which is
Usual.
always the most fun. So no, we had a brief introduction from Kristina, and we're gonna pull more out of her. But is it okay if I say your real name, HM?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. Some people don't want me to, and then I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Oops.
It's the work stuff on the down low, right? But,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So,
Well,
but I mean, that's fine. I try to write things that if people find out, it's not a big deal. So
okay. What's the fun in that?
yeah, my mom reads it too, and I just don't want to deal with that kind of thing. So,
Oh yeah.
hey, Mom.
Well, Heather, could you tell us a little bit about what you write? And I told you I just downloaded your book today, so I'm about to find out for myself. But
yeah, well, I write. I would say it started as young adults. They were 16, and then like like always, I didn't want to put the book down, and I just kept writing. So I think they're in their 20s now. So I guess I'm into the new adult, but I'm still kind of sticking with the young adult label because I realized very quickly when I started writing that new adult has a very different meaning for a lot of people these days, that I am definitely not in that category. So I'm sort of sticking with the more young adult, sort of, I guess, clean speculative fiction, paranormal, fantasy, mythology, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Uh-oh, he doesn't realize he's muted.
Uh-oh.
Never mind. It was a lame joke anyway.
Perfect. So it gave you that 3-second pause.
That was the button right there. That was the delay.
Right. The delay.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah, that actually brings up a really good topic, though, about what people expect when they hear new adult, because it is kind of that weird genre mix between adult and the young adult marketplace.
I actually find it's like, in terms of spicy, you're better off just saying you're writing adult fiction because, yeah, I just do find that the new adult, it is a very intense category sometimes, even when you're not expecting it to be. Like urban fantasy is cleaner usually.
Okay.
Not urban fiction. That's different. That is not cleaner.
Yeah. You got to be careful because, yeah, the minute you say a certain word, it triggers in people's imaginations a certain view of what that book is. And urban fiction and urban fantasy are way different. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Rebecca Jonesy says, check out the undies that Jason insisted on having made. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well,
yeah.
So how do I check these out? I don't know how to do this.
Jason just talked to himself.
No,
I think she gave you a link there.
Oh, there's the link. I can't click on it.
I was like, for a minute, I thought this was like celebrities reading mean tweets about themselves.
Oh my God, those are great.
Really fun.
You know, it does happen sometimes. Those comments can get pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, they get.
I watched one with Gerard Butler, only it wasn't the mean tweets one. It was like thirsty tweets. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
I think that might have actually been the mean tweets, but because it's Gerard Butler, I think they were just kind of all what people wanted to do with him. I might be wrong.
I remember at one point someone said that they would lick the beard off his face, and I was like, "Oh
my God. I think that was the mean tweet." They're like, you can't act, but who cares? You know, something like that.
Oh yes. How did we get talking about that? Gerard Butler, what?
Oh, mean tweets and your underwear, apparently.
Oh,
Spelling Ink logo.
We should get him on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I come back?
Put it out there. Put it out in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, in NA, I actually find that sometimes NA is a little bit easier to read than what we're calling just adult fiction, which I really like. I love things that are written in more of a common tongue, you know, a little bit less baroque, and so I think that's really cool. But it does tend to be a little on the spicy side. So if you don't like spicy, then that's definitely not the category you want to be surfing around in.
Yeah, and so I keep that off the label.
Yeah.
Yeah, or put in if you're not that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that can be a stigma as well.
Yeah, I've written a few short stories sort of like in that same universe, and I am very careful to say sweet or clean with the romance and the paranormal part, because you really don't want to get the audience that's looking for something more spicy. They really don't leave good reviews when you don't have spicy in it.
No.
Right.
Which is fair. I mean, you're spending your money to get something and it's not in there. It's like they forgot to put the chocolate chips in the cookie and you got the raisin cookie instead.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's just
Like if you want a raisin cookie, you know it's a raisin cookie, it's still delicious. But if you're going for chocolate chip, it's always a disappointment.
Yeah. I there are certain family members that I won't even go over to their house anymore because they put out frickin' raisin cookies. I mean, what kind of monster do something like that?
So this is
I
really
don't
why
know.
you're skipping things.
They're my husband's
Let's
favorite.
be honest. It's all about the cookies.
It is.
Get out there.
Well, Kristina, tell us a little bit more about your books.
So I write new adult thriller, like we were just talking about the new adult category and how it came to be. I started out writing adult, what I thought was adult, but then the ages of my characters were so much younger, and the themes were really more along coming of age. And so for me, it kind of fell neatly in there. But we're talking about spicy because I don't write romance, so I write thriller. So I don't have a lot of that in mind at all. I know, Jason, you read my latest, Among Us, was really not. It's more of like it's really more of a thriller. There's some sci-fi in there.
It's like porn, all alien porn.
Yeah, it's just porn. It's like,
Yeah.
That's all. That's everything. So that's all. It's not spicy. It just goes straight to the bad stuff. It goes straight there. But no, that's just not, for me, my comfort level. So I write what I'm comfortable with, which is really more about the murder and death, that kind of stuff, that kind of darkness. So, but yeah, my stories tend to err on the, not just the thriller, like fast-paced thriller side, but more a little twinge of paranormal. Also, I tend to go dark. So there's a lot of just, stuff with, we're just talking about murder, crime, the whole abnormal psychology aspect to my characters. Like that's, just where I have my history, my educational history and background is in psychology. And so I'm always leaning toward that dark mind area. And, just, seeing where the characters go and how they grow and change from just the obstacles that are put in their way, like we're all trying to do. I try to learn a little bit something from my characters, and I often write about things I'm afraid of. So really every one of my books is about things that terrify me. So everything from government conspiracies to stalker, people and relationships, ex-relationships, to the paranormal, and just what evil is out there, and the evil that are, that's in people that just seemingly, maybe normal, maybe your neighbor, maybe your friend, maybe your family member, and like, what are they really all about, that you don't know? And that's kind of what intrigues me, and just the things that scare me is what I like to write about.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something you said last week, or maybe it was the week before, Jason? And I think it came from Michael Brent Collins about horror and thriller actually being something positive, because that's the worst world, and the world you come back to is the better world. So there's like a cathartic nature, writing things that scare you or reading stories that frighten you.
Yeah, and taking that plunge down into the depths can make your level seem that much better, which is a good thing. Unless you're just down in the depths all the time and you're writing about what's actually happening, then that's not going to work at all for you.
No. And I think I write from a place of like trying to overcome our fears. So the things that terrify me, and if I can, help, people, readers, or for me personally, it's for me when I'm writing it, help my character overcome something and go into a place that is dark and scary and come out the other side. I feel like I've done that by writing it. And I hope by, people who read it feel like, oh, not like these scenarios would really happen, but in life, I might be going through something that's dark, like we all do. I mean, we all have been there in that dark place. And how did I come out the other side? Did I come out stronger? Did I grow? Am I better for it? And that's, sort of where that whole coaching stuff comes in and psychology stuff comes in on the positive side, because it's not all about the darkness. There's a benefit to the darkness. You grow, you change, and you are stronger for it, you hope.
Well, and
Humans in a safe way.
Yeah, in a safe way, absolutely. And that's where it is. You can be afraid and overcome these things in a very safe way.
Yeah, and that's that safe environment, that mirror universe, so to speak, if we're Marvel nuts. But and what's really nice is if you finish writing the book and you feel like you've overcome something or accomplished something aside from writing a book, which does happen to me. I'll be writing about something horrific and I get done with it and be like, wow, I feel like I got through this. I'm like, well, I just wrote this. That's all I did, but I feel like I've gotten through it. And that's a cool thing to feel.
Yeah. Well, you're processing something, right? Like whatever emotion is bringing you to that page, you're processing it. You might not put that exact situation on the page, but what, like, I go back and I'll read a book, you know, my first book, and I look back at what was going on in my life at that time. And there are some really dark things that were going on in my life back when I wrote some of my stories. And I just realized, like, wow, I was processing such a thing. I didn't write about that thing, but that thing influenced the way I wrote and also the emotions I brought to the table. And so the good, the bad, the everything is you're experiencing in life through our writing. It helps us. It is cathartic and therapeutic. And you hope that if maybe someone isn't going through exactly what you're going through, but you hope that if they're reading your story, like, they're able to sort of process whatever is going on in their life for them as they're going through what your character's going through and overcoming and triumphing over their obstacles.
Hell yeah. Well, and even just for the sake of entertaining them, you know, and
oh, sure.
in order to entertain our readers, we have to make it relatable to them in some way. So, you know, that's the same thing. If they're relating to what's happening in this book and what's being accomplished, then they're going to enjoy it a heck of a lot more. As long as you give them that little piece of hope to hang on to, which we've talked about here before, is, you know, if you absolutely crush their souls at the end, though, then you're probably going to have some unhappy people on your hands.
Right.
And you see, with mine, I probably write a lot lighter because I deal with enough darkness on a day-to-day. I want a happy story where everybody has magic and, like, it always has a happy ending. So, you know, every now and then you get a review and they're like, oh, it came too easily. I'm like, that's the point. I want this to be happy. And it's young adults. And yes, bad stuff happens, but they're going to win because that's what I want. So.
Well, I had to stop watching Black Mirror. And I've only watched half a dozen episodes of it because there were so many that at the end I just felt like shit. And I'm like, this sucks. I mean, I feel terrible.
I don't need that. I watch cartoons and adventure movies and funny things.
Yeah, and I want a freaking Baby Yoda at the end of every show that I watch.
Oh my
God,
what I want. Cute, so cute.
Or that little tree Groot, the baby Groot.
Yeah, Baby Groot.
Baby Groot. Come on, I would love having one of those next to the fireplace. So, well, maybe not next to the fireplace.
Rebecca says, Rebecca Jonesy says, giving readers long-lasting psychological trauma is also an accomplishment. So,
I don't do that on a day-to-day with my kids.
Why are we glaring pointedly at me? That's Jane up that side. Yes, I write happy, inspirational stuff, Rebecca. You know that. Happy and inspirational. Yes. You know, but you know, Kristina, I think it was you that was talking about looking back at some of your older stuff and seeing what you were going through at the time. Was that you that said that? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, there's so many voices. I'm having trouble. My brain, I have a very small brain to process this stuff. But you know, my third book, The Dark of Night, is one of the characters in this book is, when I went back through to revise it for the publisher, is me. I mean, it is exactly me. He looks different, but it's just me. And I'm like, holy shit, that was a bad year. That was a really bad year.
They're all you, Jason. They're all you.
I know. It's terrifying, isn't it?
And that's the scary part. They are all you. People said, oh, are you in your character? Yes, I'm every one of my characters, which scares me. But it's like you're coming from your own
what they do.
Reference. But yeah, it's the darkness in you. It's the lightness in you. It's all of the pieces of you and the things that have become you because of your experiences. And it might not be you per se, but it could be an experience you had coming through. It is scary, but it's also awesome.
So then my question is, do you write first person or third person?
Somebody else take this one. You guys can all go. I've been talking too much already.
No, the question's directed at you.
Oh, it's directed at me?
Just no, because
I never, ever, ever write first person. Ever.
Okay.
And I don't write first person because it's not my favorite thing to read. I much prefer third person. And so when I'm writing, I've tried a couple times because I'm like, okay, I'm going to write something young adult. I'll get a couple pages in. I'll be like, I hate this. We're not going to do this again. So it
is tough to switch from third to first.
It is hard. I wrote my first person this year, and the editor said I was a narcissist. I was like, what?
Yes, we are, damn it.
I'm like, but it's me. Like, this is actually my voice because it's first person. And it was very challenging.
Yeah, it is. And I got to where I liked first person, which is very strange because I used to say I hated it. I used to be you, Jason. on that point, not not literally, but
Uh-oh.
I lost track of it. Never mind.
Okay.
Somebody's in trouble.
So I've got to address some of these comments that we've got stacking up here. For one, Zan, you had some really good points about writing it and understanding it and not having to fear it anymore. So that was a really good point. I think we did put that comment up. And Rebecca, I don't know what she's talking about. You know, she keeps talking about glaring pointedly at me. The Life of Pets. The Life of Pets was a happy one. It's about, you know, pets, right?
I did cry though.
Did you?
But Up made me cry harder.
Up was brutal.
Like, the first 15 minutes, I was just a wreck. I was like, why do people want me to watch this?
Yeah, guys, he hooked those balloons to his house because he wanted to go to the waterfall to die, to be with his wife.
I'll never
I
watch it.
love her so much.
Oh,
Never.
God.
Kill me sometimes. Like, seriously.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
Most of these comments are just ragging on Jason because they think that I'm scary and I'm not. You guys have obviously not read any J.E. Taylor because she's a psycho. She's scary for real.
You have such a lovely smile.
Read
Wait,
a lot of my stuff.
don't most serial killers have a lovely smile?
That's right. That's right. Because they're mimicking.
A great actor.
And it's very odd then that Katie and I seem to be in sync on our books. What does that say about her?
Katie, what's happening to you? You used to be such a sweet lady.
You never read my early work, did you?
No, I did not.
Early work.
I got softer over the years. Now I think I'm turning the corner again.
Oh, Brittany, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brittany. Up is like 10 years old, though. You're kind of behind on this. Oh, goodness.
Oh
Well,
my God.
Wait. Hold on. Rebecca brings up a good thing. Things with pets. What was the golden rule? You can't kill the dog.
You don't kill
You
the
never
dog.
kill the dog.
Yep. You don't kill the dog.
They don't kill the dog in Wick. Like, come on.
Don't read Georgia Rain.
Oh, no, I won't then.
Or,
Don't read what?
Georgia Rain or Angel Fury, right?
You know what? If that's a straight cover, I'm pretty much out anyway. So it's the whole YA part of me. It's like just sunshine and rainbows. That's it with magic. Maybe some unicorns, but don't sit on them because they're sharp.
It was ancillary. Yeah. Collateral damage.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not.
You did?
I did not kill so many dogs. Well, in the book. In real life, I work at a vet's office, and sadly,
So this is why.
I have to put down a lot of dogs, which
Yeah.
You're processing your grief.
Sad. I
Yeah.
know.
You're just processing.
Sad.
or Old Yeller. I did not write Old Yeller. Bro. What the hell, man?
So how did this turn into Jason Reed's mean tweets?
Because it was a good idea earlier.
Gerard Butler, we need you on the show, buddy. Yes, please come on the show. Yes, never kill the dog. That's right.
Except in real life. In your
Rule,
case,
never
but
kill the dog.
it's not in the book.
That's right. Not in the book. No, man, I'll tell you what. And my wife is a great animal lover, and she's one of the kindest people on this planet, I think. But dying things find her. Sick and dying animals find her everywhere she goes. And so we just have so much death in this family that we experience and try to help animals through. And it's just it's not happy, but I mean it's a good thing to do, but it's also not a happy thing to do, you know? So I don't know. Yeah.
We brought away from the death of pets.
Now we're all sad.
I know.
Sorry. But Baby Yoda, he's so cute.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda and Baby Groot go out to the bar.
Oh, yes.
That would be fun.
I
That
like
would be a
it.
really funny show.
I like it. Oh, did you guys know that we had just 2 days ago, someone found a 12-week-old kitten by the railroad tracks that was very, very, very sick, and so my wife went and picked it up, and we tried to nurse it back to health, but it died within like 18 hours. It was horrific. She was holding it. Her and my daughter were holding it as it died. It was the worst.
So the kitten was comfortable.
It was warm. It had food in its belly and some antibiotics, but
it was loved
it
at
was
the
too
end.
late.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. It was 12 weeks old.
Yeah, it was it's been a crap week, man.
Oh,
Lots of death this week. Yeah. So what about writing? Do any of you guys do any writing?
I'm doing a ton of editing.
Oh no, that's not cool. That's almost scary.
I overcommitted a lot this year, and it's due on December 1st, and it is not good.
That's a tight deadline.
Yeah, they moved it up on me because they wanted to put it out early. I'm like, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who do you publish with?
I do mostly indie publishing, but I'm doing this as part of an anthology.
Oh, cool.
And
so they have a set deadline then that they need to follow.
Right. And I was just like, oh no, because I'm also co-writing a different series, which I accidentally said yes to 6 more books in.
Oh my God.
Accidentally?
Yeah.
I have a hard time leaving things alone. And if it looks like somebody needs help, I say, hey, is there anything I can do? And then immediately go,
What have I done?
why? I mean, I only work 2 hours a week. Like, I could totally add some more hours in.
Yeah. Right. Like in the middle of the night, just don't sleep. Don't sleep.
I'm up at 4.
We don't need much sleep as humans.
I used to, and then I had kids.
Yeah, and then you just stop sleeping.
Rebecca, we can't see YouTube chats live, I don't think.
Yes, you
can
be able to, Jason.
Oh, wait. Is that... Oh, I thought those were comments on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the live chat on YouTube.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay, so I think we can see the YouTube chats.
There's just only one person in there right now.
It's only somebody that said, hold my beer, you will. But I can't do Yoda's voice, so I won't attempt it. But
that was the baby Groot and baby Yoda at the bar.
Yes.
Yay!
I have a lot of very fun ideas in my head, but sometimes they make me sound very crazy when I say them out loud. So if you write them down, then you're not crazy. Right?
That's right. That's right. So you tend to commit to more than you bite off more than you can chew, and I tend to undercommit. Like,
can we switch?
No, I don't want your workload.
Right.
I think it was that whole working, 36 days in a row before having kids, and 28 of those were 24-hour shifts. You just kind of start to think you could just work all the time.
Are you a nurse or a doctor?
A doctor.
Oh.
So you just get woken up like all the time anyway, and you're just like, sure, hey, the only people dying in my books are the ones that I killed. So. And I did it on purpose. So.
But you got to take out that frustration somewhere.
Well, that's where I get all the happiness out, right? I'm just like, I'm going to make that happy ending. And, one of my characters can heal pretty much anything. There might be a little bit of wish fulfillment in there.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Do you at least give yourself enough of like a leeway on deadlines, or are you just yesing everything and the deadline's like next week? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, actually what happened is I kind of screwed myself on that project because it was supposed to be 2 30,000 word novellas. And I was just like, this will be easy. So I'm not going to plot it. And then the first attempt was 70,000, not novella. And I mean, like, they do some time traveling, and the Voynich manuscript is in there, and her mom is like this ancient Scottish like prophet, and it went to some weird places, like and Paris, because it's been a while. I wanted to go back, I guess. So yeah, so then I had to rewrite the actual novellas that were supposed to be for the project.
This is way off subject. I mean, not really? Like Jason way off subject. No, because I keep thinking of what would be a cool topic to talk about tonight. But both of you two on the bottom, the doctor and the coach, write in a not quite young adult, not quite adult fiction, but neither one of you write a lot of, stuff with a lot of sex in it. No. Okay. So how do we make our books interesting enough that, 17 to 25-year-olds are going to want to read it without having a lot of sex in it? How do we have some romantic, moments in there without including sex? How do we keep it clean and still have it be a really good, interesting read?
Tension.
I honestly, once they have sex, it's done. I mean, in any really good romance, the part that you really want is how do they get to there? There's a reason why Pride and Prejudice has been retold a gajillion times. It is because people like the way they sort of fight back and forth and take turns who's in love with who. It isn't because they had sex right away. So I think it's really easy to write something that will keep your interest without giving away the goods. I don't know if anybody's read Anne Bishop, The Others series.
I also haven't read Pride and Prejudice, so I'm like, oh, okay.
What about Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
Now that's awesome.
There you go. So, but she does it really well. Like, I mean, these books are amazing, and there is no sex in any of them.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of it is, I mean, at least with what I write and what I'm interested in reading and writing, it's about the suspense. It's about the turning the page. It's like whatever you can get them to do to turn the page, and it's got to be obviously legitimate. You're not going to scam them into turning the page and nothing happens, but it's about turning the page, and it's about the relationships having a push-pull and attention, even if they're not romantic or there's a hint of romance. And I tend to write where like the B story is like that romantic relationship is there, but I'm not going into that. That's not the main plot. I'm not writing romance. I'm writing a thriller. So there's that relationship, but I'm not going into those aspects of it as deeply. But yeah, I think it's like, I just try to create, as comfortable as I am with the tension between them and getting that push pull and the back and forth, like any relationship has. And we all have that, right? Whether it's romantic or not, there's conflict. You write the conflict, you write the suspense, you keep them turning the pages, you keep it exciting, you keep the stakes high, and you make it about the, at least in new adult, about the character kind of risking it all, having everything on the line, and really pushing that person to come out to be who they're supposed to be in the end. And that's kind of where I go with it. I go with that thought in mind, and what is the question that I want answered, and who do I want this person to be at the end versus who she was in the beginning, making those two people completely different. And if I have those images in my head of her in the beginning of the book pushed all the way back to as far as she can go, and at the end of the book completely different, then I've done my job just getting her there. So I mean, I think it's a great question, and it's one I believe it or not, I haven't truly considered, because I don't think in the terms of romantic relationships when I'm writing my book, but it's a great question. I'm glad you asked. And I think that you have to push your characters up against each other and pull them away in whatever way that you can.
Well, and I didn't phrase my question very well, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do you write good fiction that's not all sensationalism, whether it's, all graphic violence or all sex, whatever it is. But, if you look at one of the, arguably the most popular book series ever written now, the Harry Potter series, which has zero sex. There are some light romantic relationships. There are some love interest in it. But, there's no sex. And it is the best-selling book series ever.
Yeah.
Enormous, extremely wide range of audience coming, starting out with grade schoolers, and then by the end of the series, I mean, you've got more adults reading the books than children. And that is quite an accomplishment. But I think that it's the fact that the characters and the stories in each one of those books were so engaging, and we loved them so much that we didn't care what was happening. We just wanted more of that character. We wanted more of Hogwarts. We wanted to feel like we were there with them over and over, whether, Harry kissed Ginny or not. Oh God. I'm sorry, Brittany, if you're still on here, I'm sorry, Harry did kiss Ginny. I know you're a little behind on movies, so I do apologize. But yeah, and she did it without any sex and no gratuitous violence. There was death. There's a hell of a lot of difference between, you know, death and some of the stuff we read. And I like to read horror, but there are also certain types of horror that are, I mean, horror is also a very wide range, you know?
Yes.
I mean, I don't like stuff that's just, you know, chopping bodies up and making big piles in corner and that kind of shit. You know, I like stuff with a really good solid plot that's going to frighten me.
Yeah, it's what you are afraid of, what scares you.
And you also want characters that you like.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, my other question for people is, do you want to see all of your friends having sex in front of you? Most people are going to be a solid no on that. So
yeah, I don't have any friends like that.
I'm just saying, in the book, if you really like a character and you like the plot, you don't actually care if there's sex or not, because you're reading it because you want to see what happens to your friend.
And that's
right?
right there. It's creating empathy for characters, creating characters that people feel like are real people. And that human nature is we all love drama. I mean, come on, we're always following drama happening on social media. We're watching, what is it, the reality TV just for the drama. People love drama. So once you have a character that people care about and want to know more about, throwing them into dramatic situations is the formula for keeping people glued to the page.
Exactly. It's not about blood or gore or sex. It's about, oh my God, what is Jenny going to do next?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what genre either. That's what you want to know.
So if you happen to kill Jenny off in a story, well, you know, there's a little extra drama for you. Just don't kill the dog.
Well,
no killing dogs.
Yes, don't. Yeah, or Save the Cat. Isn't that a book? Save the Cat. It's a
that's all
a writing book. Yeah, that's a.
Oh no, that was David Cheerleader. Is what I was thinking.
That's a real good book.
Save the Cat.
Yep. And isn't that the author that kind of introduces the idea of the beats, the story beats?
Yes, Lynn Snyder. Yeah, I have this.
Yes.
I follow all of that. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent story.
Right.
Excellent.
It's great.
Cool. You know, Kristina, I would love to talk to you more about that. Actually,
okay.
Not on this show because there's not nearly enough time. That's a whole episode right there. But
it is. It's great. We'll talk about it anytime. Let me know.
Awesome. That'll be fun. That'll be really fun. What were we talking about before I got involved with this weird conversation? I don't know.
Scary thing.
Scary thing. Oh, yes. And I was going to say, and that's not to say that people can't like this, because we're all entitled to like whatever the hell we want to like. But like horror movies, there are some excellent, terrifying horror movies that aren't just a lot of blood and guts and rape and horrible things like that. And so it it goes from books to movies and everything else. And I think that intention or intent is really important. If I pick up a book because I like, oh well, I want to read something sexy, I know I'm going to read this book. If I want to read something scary, it's going to be this book. And I think that being able to know what you're picking out and what you're getting into is important. So as authors, I think it's really important for us to be able to communicate that with people.
Well,
for sure. I mean, 'cause my books have death and magic and sex in them, and so I make sure I'm far away from anything young adult, because I don't want somebody getting the right idea. Jesus. See, now Rebecca would say that's a Freudian slip. It is not, Rebecca. No, I don't want somebody, getting the wrong idea, picking up this book thinking, hey, this is a good book for me in 8th grade, when no, it's really not. This is adult fiction here. I don't want you reading it.
So then think about it, the young adult trend. You're allowed to have blood, guts, and violence in young adult. That's acceptable, but sex draws the line.
Don't you start this again, Katie. Don't start that again.
It's true, but it's absolutely true.
I don't know.
And I'm not sure why that is. Because, I mean, arguably sex is a lot safer than murdering people.
Yeah.
Usually.
And it feels a lot better than murdering people. I mean, unless you're a psychopath, unless you're that one over there.
But really, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from an editing coach or writer coach, was just when you're going through your story, just continually ask the question, what do I want the reader to feel in this scene? What do I want the reader to feel here? And I know that's what we're all trying to do anyway, but I think when you question yourself, what do I want them to feel? And if my answer is, I want them to feel scared, or I want them to feel curious, like everything in that scene is about that. And I think that's what you're speaking to, Jason, too. It's creating a feeling and emotion that you're walking away from. Like, how do I want them to feel? And what does that look like? And then it's easier to write that way because you're thinking of the output, right? Versus every little thing and how you're going to get there. You're just thinking of the output of that. And that feeling doesn't have to come from, like you were saying, the graphic, the melodrama or the graphicness. If it's necessary for the scene, for sure. But just like in a movie, it's about that emotion. And it's a great point to keep in mind. It always helps me write a little bit better when I'm able to tap into that.
Yes. Well, and one of the most satisfying things, I think, at least for me when I'm writing is when you get yourself in the zone well enough, in the scene well enough, and you're actually feeling what you're writing.
Oh, sure.
You're starting to feel a little scared. Okay, I am in the cemetery. It is nighttime. Something bad's happening, and you're getting those little chills. And you're like, oh, this is going to be effective. This is going to be really effective. So that's a really cool thing. Now, what is going on here with the comments? What is this? Isn't blood, death, sex, magic a chili pepper? No, that's blood sugar. Yeah. Blood sugar.
Yeah, so close.
All right, and then Joe Compton, he's talking about horror movies, The Sixth Sense, and
I like Rebecca's comment.
Well, what did Rebecca say? Oh no, Jane's awfulness that happens in her stories works though, so it's not hard. It's not hard to reading. It's not hard to reading. Oh, that's not good. We're gonna have to get an editor in here. Rebecca, we're gonna have to get you an editor. She's an editor. That's why I can give her shit.
That's right.
Okay. Also, she didn't kill any pets. Oh Lord, I'm gonna get an angry note. Oh yes. So guests, talk shows, and guests, and yeah. Books, reading.
I think if you want to see a really good atmosphere, look at some of the mystery movies from like the 40s and 50s. Like, has anybody actually seen? I think it is called. No, it's not called Gaslighting. It's the one where everybody gets the term gaslighting from. It's
called Gaslighting, I think. I think that was the title, was Gaslighting.
Was it? It was good. Or like Audrey Hepburn, Wait Until Dark.
Yeah, let me look that up because I'm pretty sure the name was Gaslight or Gaslighting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I mean, those movies, like I've seen them a few times over the years. And okay, yeah, like maybe their cinematography isn't comparable to now. No. But they still creep me out.
Yeah, well, they did a good job. And the reason I think they did such a good job is because they did not have the technology that we have today. And so they were forced to rely on better storytelling, better writing.
And I mean, she was terrified.
Yeah.
She was terrified the whole time.
And it is Gaslight.
Gaslight, right?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
But it reminds me of even Jaws, which is one of my most favorite movies because I live by the beach and I'm like afraid. By the way, I go to the beach all the time. I'm afraid of going in the water. Like growing up with Jaws, but really because of the fact that the shark broke and they couldn't use the shark in the majority of the movie, they had to recreate everything without the shark. And it was just the suspense of the water, the sound, the rushing, I watched that movie over and over again and I think of like how brilliant it is, how much suspense there is there without the shark. The shark isn't even in the movie until the end. And so I think about that a lot with writing. It's like, that's what you're trying to do.
It's always scarier when it isn't seen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because then your brain filters it. And that's what Stephen King gets me. Like, I remember reading Salem's Lot, and I had to put it away because, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 chapters in, there's the kid in the trees calling her. And I was like, oh, this is too scary, kid. Like, Japanese horror movies kill me because of the kids. Like, they're so creepy.
Yeah, they're creepy. Yeah.
And you know what? I had to finish the book because I dreamed about finishing that book in my head for, like, a month. And I was like, okay. And then I read it, and it wasn't as scary as what I was creating.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Stephen King
That's
is a really special kind of horror author, and I've not heard, but seen on Twitter and all the other places that the nasty people write stuff. A lot of people that give him shit, saying that he's not horror. But
he scares me.
what he is able to do is, and the books are so long, they're so dense because he will spend hundreds of pages immersing you in this world and making sure you know every single detail of it and you're really connected to it before he starts effing with you and really twisting the knife.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called it was a rather unassuming book. I don't think it made a big splash, called Duma Key.
Oh, I read that. It was amazing.
It was amazing. And I won't give any spoilers, but there was a scene in that where the main character woke up and there was an ocean full of tennis balls, or there was tennis balls in the surf, and my whole body just rippled with goose flesh because I was so oh my god, that's how freaking good it was. There was no graphic violence, there was death, it was all just psychological freaking terror. And that is damn good writing right there. When you can do it all, when you can make somebody's skin crawl without, ripping a person to bits, you fucking done it.
Yeah. Even his short stories are like that. Like, I don't know if anybody read the Seasons ones.
Oh yeah.
They're all into movies now, right?
Yep.
But
that's
every
where
single one of those, Stand By Me, Apt Pupil,
Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption.
Like we all just like you're there.
Yeah, I mean, he did. Didn't he do Shawshank Style? And he did.
Yeah.
The Running Man.
Of but still, you were there. You were like.
You're always there in his stories.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you are absolutely right. The movie Alien, and that's one that's easily looked over because it's sci-fi, and people for whatever reason tend to look down on sci-fi. But that movie, holy crap, was it well done?
Yes.
I mean, in the tunnels with just the flashlight light, that's all you can see. I mean, it was terrifying. What a great creature feature, I guess you could say. But yeah, just a great horror movie. And again, it was so minimalist that it's not like Aliens or 3 or 4 or however many there are now, where you've just got bodies being ripped to pieces. It's all about the mood. It's all about the tension. And that's just like what you guys were talking about with creating a great book for young adults. You're creating tension that carries the reader through the whole thing without, having to give them, gratuitous sex or violence in it, because you've gotten them through the end just with the story, which is awesome.
It's all about.
See, now I'm like, okay, my stories aren't nearly as good as this guy's. So like, don't be disappointed, Jason.
Are you comparing yourself to Stephen King? Because I'm
saying like I like reading other people's things like this, but I'm not that good. Like, you're not going to enjoy my stuff like that.
I wouldn't put anybody up against King. So
okay,
no imposter syndrome here, though. None of that.
Oh no, I'm very clear on my levels, right? Like this is something I do because I love it. So.
And that's really what it should be. I mean, although even in this panel here tonight, I don't know about Kristina, but I know that J.E. Taylor and the Captain Trainwreck are both very prolific authors. It is their job. You both have other jobs outside of it, but you're for all intents and purposes, you guys are full-time authors with the amount of books that you produce. So for some people, it's not just about loving doing it, but like for me, I do love doing it, and that's what it has to be about, because I don't make enough money doing it for it to be about anything else. It's just got to be about the love.
Yeah, no, I'm not quitting the day job either.
I like my day job. Yeah, you know what? I love what I do, and even if my books, magically went into like one of those big name author territories, I still would want to do what I do. Because I love it, and I make a difference, and I hope my books make a difference and make somebody's day better. So,
well, I listened to a podcast called "This Podcast Will Kill You," and it's 2 postdoctoral grad students, and I think they're here in the U.S. still. But anyhow, the whole podcast is about infectious disease and the epidemiology behind it. And it's fascinating. I absolutely love it. But they're both going into careers where they're going to be working in this field. Yet they have a podcast that is extremely successful. And even though they have this extremely successful podcast and they love doing it, it's like they still have their passion, their thing that they love to do. Sorry, I'm losing my words because I'm trying to read comments and speak, and we know that I can't do that. I could see Jason hitting King's Levels book. Rebecca, what is going on here?
That's beautiful.
What the hell are you doing? What are you buttering me up? Do I have to record more stuff for you?
What do you want? It's like when my kids come up to me and go, "Mom, you're the best mom ever." I'm like, "What did you do? What do you want?"
What's broken? Oh no. She's gonna tell me there's a new deadline or something like that. Rebecca is one of my publishers, so
of deadlines, and this obviously being November with people writing for Nano, are any of you guys doing that? Because it kind of leads into the topic of having other things outside of writing that you're doing that take away your time and keeping on these deadlines.
So technically, I'm doing it, but
I've gotten like 2,000 words written this month.
Nice.
That's
positive word count is positive word count. That's a very important thing to keep moving the story forward. And Three Furies, which Rebecca is part of, Julia is part of, Isa, which are all Spilling Ink's friends. They're hosting sprints almost every single day in their group to help motivate writers to sit down, get as many words as possible in a short amount of time to show that you can do it. When you put your mind to it, 30 minutes, you could have 1,000 words in if you really wanted to just gung-ho it, words do. And that moves that bar forward. That gets you closer to finishing a book.
You can do it. Put your mind into it.
You can do it. Yep. Oh, I know that song. That's a good one.
Yep.
It is a good
one. Very good faster too.
Yeah. I definitely thought Nano was possible, but not with a 4-month-old. It's not happening. I can't
No.
And I have a full-time job, and you've got a lot, when you've got a lot going on. I give people credit to do it, but I don't. If I'm going to sit down and write, I need to my head needs to be in it, and it isn't right now. So it'll come back. But it's so slow, but it's okay. And I give myself, that's one thing I will do. I don't beat myself up like I used to about everything I'm not doing. It's like, whatever I'm doing, I'm proud of, and that's it. I'm moving on. Like, I'm not stressing about it because life happens and you got to roll with it. Like, it's temporary. There'll be a time where I'm back up at 5 a.m, not to just feed a baby, but to write. So it comes back around.
Hey, more power to you being up at 5 and writing. Oh,
no, that's my favorite. And it's funny. I've done my best. Like, this was obviously pre-pregnancy, pre-child, like when I was just married, and it felt like I was single because you just, you have so much time on your hands. I didn't realize. But yeah, I mean, I pop up at 5. I was in the 5 a.m. Writers Club on Twitter, and I have friends. We would tweet each other, and text each other. And I would get so much done. Literally within an hour I had before work, I would get anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 words done. Granted, they have to be edited, but my brain was like, boom, on, half asleep, but on, and meaning like not your editor's asleep, your
editor's out.
Creative brain is on. And that was my best, I would say the best, fastest writing I've done. But yeah, when you're like not sleeping and 5 a.m. is like, I'm getting up for 5 minutes to feed my kid and go back to sleep. Like, there's no writing going on, but eventually, you got to find your sweet spot. If it's morning, if it's night, if it's, catching your lunch break, like whatever your sweet spot is, once you know what it is, go with it. Because I think you spend a lot of time as a writer trying to figure that out. And once you know what it is, you just don't try and change it. Just go with it. Go with what works for you.
My 2 youngest were my writing buddies when they were very little. I would have them in the boppy pillow next to me, my laptop on my lap, the baby right next to me. And I would type until they made a sound, and then it was pick them up, feed them, and then go back to typing. Yeah.
That's why I wrote my first book, was because I was up with the 3rd kid in 3 years, and I was just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to work all the time. I'm going to look after babies, and I'm going to die. And I'll never have written that book that I always wanted to write. So that was my first NaNoWriMo, was 2015. And I wrote my book, and I was like, oh, that was easier than I thought it would be. And then I just kept going. And now I dictate, so I can do 3,000 words on the way to work in 20 minutes.
See, and that's kind of, I think, the point of the
That's
sprint
awesome.
is it shows you that a little bit of time during the day can equate to a lot of positive
Yeah,
work.
sure. Definitely.
If you know where you want your story to go,
Mm-hmm.
and if you stop editing. So
Yes.
that's the problem.
Yes.
You can't edit until you have.
Katie taught me that.
Yeah.
Katie has taught me not to edit as I go along.
Yeah, at the end when you're done.
And you can't edit while dictating in a car. It's illegal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It helps.
Well, and I just want to say I'm proud of all the authors out there that are doing nano, and whether you're completing it or not, that just that you're putting in the effort to work on your book, to work on your passion. That's an awesome feeling to. And I've done nano like 4 times, and I've only completed it once. Because I have life. I have kids and dogs and a job and a wife, and sometimes things get in the way. But
Sure.
the cool thing about nano is even if you're not getting to your 50,000 words or 70, like I saw one of our other friends had gotten to already, you're getting a good jump start on it, and that's amazing. That's great. I usually get to 30, 35, somewhere in there, 35,000 words. And I'm really happy about that, because it's like, okay, that's what I would have done in maybe 4 or 5 months. That's awesome.
Sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, and Rebecca had a funny comment here. I have to go back to it. She says that I'm never trying nano again. Something explodes every time, and I am running out of spare organs.
Poor
That seems fair. I feel like you're excused.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of organs, Heather, are we allowed to ask you what kind of doctor you are?
I'm an everything doctor.
Oh, okay.
So I've been working for over 10 years now, and when I first started, I worked up in a remote northern community where I delivered babies. I worked the hospital, did the chemo department, emerge clinic. So
Jack of all trades.
yeah, so we call it family medicine in Canada. But I mean, basically, you do a little bit of everything. I do a lot of geriatrics now, and I work in several locked units, which is super fun. So most of those patients, I could probably write anything, and they would never know. I could keep going to work even if I become Stephen King famous. So that's nice.
Well, what about you, Kristina? What's your day job?
My day job, I am a senior director of an HR and publishing department so I'm corporate America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's fun, a lot of crazy things go on, and you just gotta keep up. But it's good. So I manage the internal and external communications, so the website, internal and external, and everything with people, everything with the people. Money, benefits, hiring, firing, employee relations, employment law, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
All in your book.
Little busy. Yeah. And my commute is far. So I work from home a few days a week, but yeah, I drive like a good hour and a half, 2 hours each way to work.
Oh.
So I'm out of the house 12 hours a day.
So you need
home, and when I'm home, there's a baby. So
you need to start dictating, Kristina.
I know. It's funny. I used to I have the Dragon, and I had the Dragon app, and I was doing that, but there's just traffic, and then other words come in, and it's Jersey, so it's like, oh, that was a bad commute that day. Okay. But no, it does work. I
driving and swearing.
Right? I'm like, let's delete that word.
Funny commentary, though.
I don't drive anymore because I commuted with my husband. So
it's real, right? It's funny. And you read back your stuff, and because I do, you'll dictate. Obviously, it types it out for you, right? So I read back, and I'm like, whoa, what was I doing? Who was I talking to? The air. But it's fun. Hey, however you can get it done, right? Get the words done, however you can.
Yeah.
But.
Well, we are,
and part of that is the coaching stuff, which I absolutely love. And I spent a year getting certified, and then as soon as I graduated, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, oh, perfect timing. Now that I have just add one more thing to the list, just throw it on.
Murphy's Law.
A baby. It's easy, right? Just throw her on my hip and keep going.
The more you do, the more you can do.
That's how I feel. Right? I swear. It's like, you just do what you got to do. So it's all good.
Well, we are at the end of our show. So this is a great time for anybody to plug their book or what they're working on right now, whatever you want to talk about. Anybody?
Those first.
Nobody wants to plug their stuff?
Cool copy.
Yeah.
Ruined
Well,
Jane.
Yeah, no, Katie and I, the paperback of Beneath is out. So the ebook will be out on December 15th, but the paperback is out now. So, yay! I don't have any.
Soon. It'll be out soon.
yeah.
I'll have my copy like tomorrow, and I'll be like,
Aw.
Well, next show you'll have it.
I won't be here for 3 weeks.
Oh, that's right.
What Heather,
Tanner.
My
So
friend,
I ventured
that-
into
that's all.
audiobook land, Audible land, and Among Us, which is the book Jason read that we'll be talking about when we get together, was an Audible editor select pick in 2019, and my
Ooh,
latest.
awesome.
Yeah, it's well, hopefully you liked it, but we'll talk about that a little bit. And then a book I wrote a few years ago, Winter Road, which is a holiday thriller. That's how I write. I mean, I watch Hallmark, but I write holiday thrillers. That just came out on Audible as well. So I'm all about the audiobooks these days.
I like it. Well, Heather, what about you? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I just had, I know we talked about zombies earlier. I did it in my happy way. That just came out in October for Halloween. I was a teenage vegetarian zombie detective. So
Nice.
Ooh, nice title.
Yeah.
it has a lot of dad jokes.
I will love it.
There was a bad spinach lasagna involved, and well,
Uh,
but
This.
it was my way of dealing with my zombie terror. So
Cool. Very cool. Well, it was great to have you both on the show today. We really appreciate you coming on tonight. So you guys have been awesome.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
for having us.
it was a lot of fun.
Guys.
So much fun.
My husband.
Oh my god, that just scared me.
Hello, Heather's husband. How are you?
He's very distracting.
He's looking for some attention. That means it's time to get off here.
Cat.
That's it. That's our cue. So, okay, everybody out there in the audience, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for all of the comments. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. That way we can keep reaching more people. And we will be back next week with more authors to talk to and more things to pick on Jason about.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.